So, hi everyone, my name's Lauren and I'm from the marketing team here at LoveAdmin. I just wanted to take a quick moment before the webinar starts to say thank you to all of you who have joined us tonight and given up your evening, and a special thank you to Kevin as well for being our host. I'm really excited to see what we learn tonight. For those unfamiliar with LoveAdmin, we're a membership and club management software that helps to take care of your organization. By letting us focus on the admin, you're able to spend more time focusing on what really matters, such as fundraising. And that leads really nicely into tonight's webinar. So without further ado, over to you, Kevin.
Cool. Thanks, Lauren. Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm going to start slowly, but we're definitely going to ramp up, and you're just going to have to hang on and try and keep up because we've got a lot to do in a short period of time. Just I guess a few kind of housekeeping, just so you know what's going on. I have two screens, so when I'm looking to the side, I'm just looking at my slides. I will share my slides in a few minutes, so it's not that I'm distracted or watching TV. I'm just reading my slides. If you are okay to have your camera on, I appreciate it, but I mean I understand if you don't want to have your camera on, that's fine. But it's way easier to talk to a group of people and smiling faces and stuff than blank screens. So whatever you're comfortable with, that's fine by me. I don't mind taking questions during the session. We will be, let's say, going quickly, whatever. So I'll kind of try and keep them short. But if you have anything really urgent that you just have to say, please jump in and just say it, and we'll go from there. I'm going to try and keep the session to an hour, but really I've condensed about 3.5 hours worth of a session into 60 minutes. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so first off, who am I? So my name is Kevin Delaney. I'm a fundraising coach and nonprofit consultant, and have been for about 20 years now. I've been working in this space. I'm based in Ireland, in Navan, which is about I don't know, an hour north of Dublin. But I kind of work with groups all over the world, and particularly small local groups. That's my kind of big passion, is kind of the small group sports clubs like yourselves, you know, small soup kitchens, all that kind of stuff. The kind of small groups that are actually making an impact in their community. So that's kind of my main area of focus. And I am going to now get started. Let me just figure out how to share. I don't know. Teams is a baffling thing. So sharing my screen is just gonna do this. I've already tested it, so I know it works. Okay. Okay, can people see that? Give me a thumbs up if you can see that, just to make sure. Awesome, great. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what the idea of this evening's session is, as I said, 10 steps to creating a fundraising plan. Everyone hates fundraising, yes? Like it's the kind of thing that, let's be honest, you'd rather pull your own teeth out than do. I get it, okay? So my job this evening is to try and change that mindset and kind of get you thinking of fundraising as more of an opportunity to connect with the community, to support the club, to kind of just, you know, move to the next level. So I'm not going to be talking about doing bag packing or any of that kind of stuff. It's not a session about ideas. It's a session about changing your philosophy, changing your mindset, and kind of giving you kind of a different approach to fundraising. You know, big ambitions for 60 minutes, but we'll see how we go. So we'll cover it in 10 steps, and you'll just have to bear with me. Okay. So before you start fundraising, which is always a stupid way to start, and let's be honest, you already are fundraising, but you have to go into this imaginary world where you haven't done any fundraising ever. Because before you start, you really have to kind of have these kind of core things, and you have to these core questions. You have to answer them for yourselves. And we'll go into a little bit of detail, but it's, why do you exist? What do you do? And why should I care? So first question, and our first point of the evening, is, why do you exist, right? So this is mad, because you're looking at me going, we're a fucking football club, Kevin. What do you think we're doing? But it's not about that. It's like, what's the impact that you're having on community? What is the point of a football club, a swimming club, a gymnastics club, whatever type of sports organization you are? What is it for? Is it because the young people in our community deserve a place to bond and to build their physical strength, their mental strength, to feel part of our community, to wear the jersey, to wear the club, to kind of have that sense of ownership? Why do we exist? What is the importance that you're bringing to your community? You got to get that first off, because no one gives a damn about the football club. Okay, if I'm going to make a donation to you, if I'm going to be a sponsor, I'm not interested in the football club. It's what you're doing for our community. So why do you exist? Because we believe that it's important that there is a strong swimming club in our community, so kids of all ages, adults, older people can come together, exercise together, and take care of their physical and mental health, or whatever that happens to be. So you need to think to yourself, why do you exist? What is the impact that we're having on our community? Okay. Number two, what do you do? Again, obviously, well, Kevin, we organize football. Um, but it's not as simple. The thing is, we have to explain to people when we're fundraising, we have to bring people on a very highfalutin way, a journey. I hate the phrase journey, but it's the one that works. And we have to kind of go, okay, what why does our club exist? First off, because we believe that young people of our community deserve to have a place where they can come together, feel a sense of identity, get physically fit. So what do we do? Well, we organize training, social activities, games, whatever, so that they can participate in sport in a safe, nurturing way where their self-esteem is nurtured, or whatever that kind of stuff. So what do you do? It's not we organize games or we organize training. It's what is that? We create a safe environment. We develop their physical fitness. We develop their team skills. We all those kind of things. So what do you do? Explain to me, as someone who you're trying to get a few quid out of my pocket, whether it's the council, whether it's a business, whether it's an individual, you're trying to get some money off me. You want me to give you money so you can run around chasing the ball? Like, that's nutty. No, this is about teamwork. This is about unity. It's about belonging. This is about self-esteem, mental health, physical fitness. They're all the things that I go, I get that. That's not so. It's not just like kicking a ball. No. This is a different thing. We're building young people. We're building people of all ages. So what do you do? How are you solving the solution of we believe that children or whatever should have a place to participate in sport? I told you I was going to speak fast. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm going to end up finishing this in 23 minutes if I go too fast, though. But anyway. Okay. So number 3, why should I care? Let's be honest. We don't give a damn about most things. Okay. If you're on Instagram or you're flicking through the TV and you see whatever TV, you see current affairs, you see Question Time, whatever it is, boring, even though they're the most important things, right? You're on Instagram and you see some stuff, and like, and you're like looking for the funny video, the cat jumping off a tree, or whatever happens to be. We actually don't care about important things all the time. So we have to understand, so we have to be able to figure out why, so someone that you're talking to, why should the person who you're writing to, emailing to, applying for a grant to, why should they give a damn about what you're doing? And it's not good enough for you as an organization, for you as an individual to kind of, well, of course they know. This club's been here for 75 years. Of course they know how important it is. How do you know? Do you know maybe they've just moved into the town? Maybe they've never set foot in a gymnastics gym. Like, they have no impact, no sense of it. Or maybe they hate football because they're a rugby fan, or like it doesn't like you have to be able to connect to them. So why should I care? Well, Kevin, as a father of 2 young boys in this community, I'm sure that you would want to make sure that as they get older, they have a place where they can participate with their friends and it's a safe environment. Well, that's true. Kevin, as a local councillor, surely you want to know that there's facilities for the young people so they're not getting involved in things that, cause damage or cause vandalism, whatever it happens to be. Well, that's true. Or, Kevin, as a business owner, you know that if we've a vibrant community where people are all participating in stuff, that lifts the morale of the town. And people are likely to spend money in shops and they're likely to travel for games or whatever it happens to be. Oh, that's true. So why should I care about your organization? It's about me. It's not about you at all. As a club, as an organization, you are completely unimportant in the conversation around fundraising. Okay. The focus is the people that you work with. So whether, I'm focusing on kids, whatever, like, I don't know your organization, so you'll forgive me if like some, whatever, I'm making the assumptions, whatever. But you want me as a potential donor, potential sponsor, potential like, granting body. How am I helping the young person? And you're just a vehicle for that. So you've identified the young people in our town need somewhere to exercise, come together, be part of a club. And you as a councillor are very interested in young people and ensuring they have high quality facilities. If you need to give us this grant so we can do that for you, perfect. Solve the problem. Problem, solution, hero. I'm the hero. So your donor, your sponsor, your granting body is always the hero. You just get out of the way. Everybody with me so far? And remember, we haven't even fundraised yet. But you really have to do this before you do any, like, I mean, again, I know you're already fundraising, but when you're deciding to launch the Christmas appeal or whatever your kind of big thing you're doing, you need to sit down and kind of go, how are we going to get across the importance of us? How are we going to do better than the other clubs in the town? How are we going to compete with the homeless charities? Like, it's the same money. We're all drawn on out of the same pot. So we have to be able to kind of go, well, it's not good enough. And the risk is that we can turn around and kind of go, oh, but we're doing basketball. That's not as important as the homeless charity up the road. Well, of course it is. Of course it is. Not saying that the needs are the same, but our communities are a balanced, ecosystem. And while we have to look after the least fortunate of us, we also have to look after mental health and physical health. And without all of those things happening, same with the arts organizations, they're all as valid. So we're entitled to our space in that market. We just have to kind of go, what are we here for? Why do we exist? What do we do? And why should I care? Okay. Sometimes I feel a little bit like an evangelist or something, like one of the kind of preacher kind of waving on the pulpit, but it's just my ego. Okay, so then we've done this. We've written it all down. We've spent a couple of hours arguing with each other and shouting over why we exist in the committee room or wherever we're doing it. Okay, now we have to make a plan. So we have to kind of start talking about, well, who's going to do this fundraising? This lark, yeah. None of us want to do it. We've already all agreed. You've already oh, no, I don't want to do this. I mean, let's be honest, most of you were sent here by someone else in the committee who said you should go along to this webinar, it'd be good for you. So people don't want to do this, but we have to have a sense of who's going to take responsibility for fundraising, what resources do we have for our fundraising, and then we'll get into a little bit about the different types of fundraising that you can do. I'll throw some ideas at you and hopefully get your think of things in a different way. Okay, so Kevin, don't worry. I think what you're saying is brilliant, and we have an awesome fundraising committee who are going to take care of that. Yeah, brilliant. No, fundraising is not the role of the fundraising committee or the fundraising officer or whoever has been assigned as the designated person for that. That's ridiculous. You can't possibly expect one person or two people to take on the role of fundraising for the whole club or the whole organization. Once you think about hold on, I'll come back to that point. It is every single person in your organization, every single person who has a role in your club, from the club chairperson to the honorary president who founded it 853 years ago and still swings in every now and then to tell you what to do, down to the parents who are bringing the toddlers to the beginning classes. Every single person has a role to play in your club's fundraising. But it's not, oh yeah, sure, once a year we get everybody out and we get them all standing outside Tesco's or whatever, shaking buckets. That's not what I mean. It's about everybody having a feeling of responsibility towards the club, that they feel that it's their club and that they have a duty. It's a bit of a weird word to use, but they have that kind of sense of a duty to it. Think about like CRUK or Macmillan or one of these kind of big, the RNLI, these big mega organizations, right? if you decided next week that you were going to run a marathon, they're the types of organizations that straight away you'd be like, oh, I should do it for the RLI. I should do it for Macmillan or whatever. And there may be a personal reason for that. But isn't that a weird thing? You don't know anybody that works there. You don't know anybody who's part of that, but you feel that you should do something for that organization. It's because they've set that expectation that the entire country, that the entire like community should do that, and everyone is responsible for their growth. And that's exactly the type of philosophy that you want within your community, within your club, that everybody has a role to play and everyone has a responsibility. Now, it might be that, you know, Sylvia there is the head of the fundraising committee, so she's responsible for pulling it all together. But I still have to kind of go, oh, actually, Sylvia, just so you know, I'm working in TK Maxx, and you know that we have an employee giving scheme. So if I fill out a form, I can get a donation for that. I have a responsibility to let Sylvia know that there's something going on. So it's everyone having that ownership. It's, you know, the parents, you know, giving permission for photos to be taken so that you can kind of go, here's the kids with the trophy or whatever happens to be. Everyone has that ownership. Okay. Then we need to look at what resources do we have. We often forget this. We go straight into like organizing, we're going to do Strictly Come Dancing. And you're like, well, we're a club of 13 people. I mean, even like we'd all have to do dancing, and who the hell is going to come see that? You know, it's all, so we have to have a sense of what are our strengths? What have we got at our disposal that we can utilize to fundraise? Okay. So we might have staff, depending, you know, for a big club or whatever. So maybe we've got some staff, maybe not. We might have skills on our committee or in the club. So we might have someone whose day-to-day job is doing business-to-business sales of pens, right? Okay, maybe we're like, what use is that? Well, now we know someone who has the tough neck and the ability to go door to door and sell pens. Well, then they can go door to door and sell our club. That's a skill that they have. Maybe we've got someone who's got great social media skills. They do like the funniest TikToks, right? Okay, well, it's something that we can use. It's like, we don't know how we're going to use it, but let's make a list of all the skills that we have at our disposal. Paul might be really funny. Andrew might be a great event organizer, whatever happens to be. Sorry, I'm picking names off the screen in front of me. So it's just like, you know, so we look at the different skills that we have as a committee, as a wider group, like what have we got? Experience. Maybe we've done stuff before. Do you know what we do? We've done a great, we're great at organizing football tournaments because that's what we do. Okay, well, that's something we have. Maybe we've got a building. You know, maybe we've got a clubhouse that has a bar in it, or maybe we've got a hall that we're able. It's like, that's an asset that we can have. It's something we don't have to pay for if we decide to do something. I'm not telling you what to do with it, but it's about just sitting down and kind of go, well, what do we have? What do we have at our disposal? We have volunteers, we have reputation, maybe we've got money. Money is a really useful resource to have for fundraising. It sounds daft, the amount of organizations like went to and they're like, we're really struggling with fundraising, we don't know what to do. And then I'm like, you've got 500,000 sitting in reserves. Put it to use, like do something with some of it. Like, you know, maybe it's investing in marketing or whatever happens to be. So we make a list of every single resource that we have at our disposal for fundraising before we think about what we're going to do to raise money, because this will help us steer. Because if it turns out that when we go through all the skills we have, all the resources we have, all the knowledge and experience we have, if no one knows how to use a computer, right, then the person who comes up and goes, oh, we should do a great TikTok video. He's like, well, that's a stupid idea because none of us know how to do that. So let's not even think about going that way. Do you know what I mean? So it's about understanding what are our strengths? What skills do we have? What have we got that we can utilize? Okay. I have to remember what my slide there. Okay. So this is, we've covered all the kind of the before we start stuff. Now what I want to do, I'm not going to go and try and cover all these areas of fundraising, like I'd be mad. I'm going to cover some of them. What I want to try and cover in this little section, he says, as if I can stop talking. In this little section is to introduce you to the different types of fundraising, as in if you were at CR UK, how they would look at their fundraising. This is how the categories that would use it. But I want you to like think about it is like, how could we do that as our small club? How can we utilize the same ideas, or what's going on there that we can kind of go, oh, I understand that. My goal here is not that you leave here kind of going, there's 12 amazing ideas that Kevin talked about, but it's that you go to the next committee meeting and said, that Egypt waffled on for an hour, but there was one or two things he said that I think we should talk about. I think there might be something in that for us. That's my goal, okay? So, the fundraising mix. As just like if you were a shop owner, if you were just selling newspapers and nothing else, that would be a stupid thing to do because you'd be reliant on one income stream. And when you're fundraising, one of the daftest things to do is to be reliant on one income stream. Just like whether it's memberships, whether it's grants, whether it's whatever is paying the bills. If you are only reliant on the one stream of income, you're at risk. Okay, so the first thing to think about is how can we make sure we're shaking enough trees so that if one of those things dries up, something goes right, we have a global pandemic, that we at least have some trickle coming in. So the idea is to kind of have a little bit coming from everybody. Community fundraising. When I talk about community fundraising, I mean people doing stuff for the club, right? This is crazy Mary who decides to run the marathon dressed as a chicken, right? These kind of people just kind of come to you and or whatever. It's the car wash, it's throwing buckets of water over each other, whatever. It's when someone gets a sponsorship card, gets a bucket, and kind of goes and does something for you. And you want that type of activity for your club. One, because it's good crack. It adds energy. It shows that kind of community spirit. It shows that people are willing to go the extra mile for you. The other thing is that if I come to you, if I'm just a regular club member, I come on Monday nights for training, right? If that's me and I come and say, hey, I'm going to run around the city in my underpants for 24 hours, right? And that's how I'm going to get people to sponsor me and give you the money. You are now have access to my friends. So the reach that you have is now way larger than your circle, because now all of your friends and family, or all of my friends and family, are being talked. I'm talking to them saying, I'm doing this thing for the club. Will you give me a few quid? And that's how it goes. So it's a really great thing to help spread the word about the club, reach, show the impact, show people like that you're making a big difference in the community. So that's one great strength. The second great strength about community fundraising is limitless. You don't know that if I run around the town in my underpants, I might raise £100 or I might raise 10,000. You've no idea, and it's limitless, and you don't have to do anything about it. So it's great. You want to encourage people to kind of come to you with activities. However, from a planning point of view, from a committee's point of view, from how are you going to grow the club and make it sustainable, you have no idea how many of the crazy means are going to come every year. So you can't budget for it. And if anyone here is a financial person, that's the kind of gives people chills. When they can't budget for it, they don't like it at all. So the finance people go, ugh, don't like that at all. So you want to have people coming to the club doing the crazy stuff, but you need to think about how are we going to make this sustainable. So Kevin, that's a great idea. You're going to run around the town in your underpants. Where did I get that stupid idea from? Anyway, you're going to run around the town in your underpants and raise money. Brilliant. But you can't do that again next year. What could we do? Oh, maybe we could get next year, if we decide to do something, maybe we could get a gang to do it, or maybe it can become an annual underpants run for the club. It doesn't matter. It's like, how are we thinking about what we can do with that idea, with that energy and stuff for year on year, so that we can become more sustainable. But the other thing we have to just recall is that I'm likely never to do that again. So we can have community fundraising as one stream of our fundraising, but we don't want to rely on it as a key part, because it's fickle. And as I said, global pandemic, there's no running happening at all, and it all goes away. Corporate partnerships. When I say corporate partnerships, I mean from the butcher giving you £100 every like year at Christmas to Tesco's. Okay, and I know that the scale of your most of your clubs would be certainly isn't going to Tesco's as a national corporate partner, but we have to understand when we're dealing with corporates that one, the big reason why we all like corporate fundraising, right? This is why we're all attracted to corporate fundraising is the average business can give more money than the average person, right? So even if it's a hairdresser, butcher, whatever it happens to be, and they can give you 500 quid, right? That's more than the average person in the street can give you. So thumbs up, we like them, okay? And that's great. However, and this is the secret that none of like that people that non-profits, the clubs, that fundraisers don't like to admit. The reason we approach corporates for fundraising normally is because we're too afraid to ask people, and we feel, well, it's safer for us, and it feels a bit less uncomfortable for me to ask the butcher for 500 quid than it is to ask Barry, who owns the butcher, for 500 quid, because it's a different kind of relationship. So part of the thing is, while corporate partnerships are great and we want to get money from businesses, we can't really lean on them as our get out of jail cause. Like, it's not about it's just easier, more comfortable. I feel like less exposed when I do that. Okay, so we have to be a bit honest with ourselves, hold up the mirror and say, do we think this is a great idea to go around the town asking all the businesses to give us 100 quid each just because we're afraid to ask other people? Or do we think that this is actually a really good idea? And can we be honest with ourselves? The thing about a corporate partnership is, even if they're the nicest person in the world, like, so Barry the butcher sounds like a character out of EastEnders, but Barry the butcher is nicest guy in the world, right? Dead sound, generous, good community guy. He's still only giving you the money for his interest. Okay. So a corporate donor is giving you a donation because of the impact it has to them, whether it's because their customers see that, oh, they sponsor the local club. Nice one, Barry. Aren't you a good lad? It looks good. It's good marketing. Whether it's the staff in a company kind of like to see the company spending the money on local stuff, maybe that's it. But you have to have an understanding that the relationship is about them and not about you. And the other danger that we have to have, particularly when we're dealing with corporates and the larger companies, is that sometimes as organizations, as non-profits, we bow down and kiss the feet of the large corporate god, which is BS, because we are way more valuable to them than they are to us. As a club, as a non-profit in the community, your value to whoever the big employer is in your town is way more valuable, because you're endorsing them by wearing their name on your jersey, or by putting up posters, whatever, to have their name on it. So you don't ever give more than you feel comfortable with. So I often have people come to kind of go, oh, well, if whatever law firm agrees to give us 1,000 quid, what should we give them? Nothing. Wait till they ask, and then decide if that's something you're willing to give. But you don't go to them and say, well, if you give us £1,000, we'll put your name on our website, we'll put it on all the posters, we'll wrap your Christmas presents and put your kids to bed for you. Like, but we don't carry on like that. We exist because this is why I'm getting back to getting back to what I start off. We exist because we believe that the young people in this community deserve a place to be, like, exercise, feel part of the community, look after the mental health. We provide that. And now, Mr. Law Firm, we're asking you to support the community that's feeding you and putting money in your pocket. We're doing the hard work for you. All you got to do is pay for it. So it's almost, you can't go that way, but it's almost like, how dare you ask me to put your logo on my website? Are you mad? Hold on, we're doing you a favor here. Now, I'm being very facetious there, but you have to have that mindset that you are way more valuable to the business than they are to you. So you go in there with a strong attitude and kind of going, hold on a second, this is what we're about. And of course you should give us whatever the donation you're looking for is, or whatever the sponsorship is. And if they're not interested, we don't kind of like, oh well, please sir, can I have some more? It's like, fine, we'll find a local business that does care about the community. Don't say that, but that's the attitude in your head. Okay. Grants and foundations. I don't have time to kind of go into grants and foundations for, we'd be here all night. But I'll tell you what, I'll give you the 3 tips that I have for grants and foundations, right? Everyone always picks up their pen at this stage because I think I've got some like really deep insights. I've talked to lots of people who work in granting bodies, in foundations and stuff over the years. And everyone's always like, what's the magic tip? How do we get more grants? Like, how do we get more successful? And it's not rocket science, and you're going to be really insulted when I say these things. So be ready to be insulted. First thing is, make sure you're eligible for the bloody grant that you're applying for. A huge proportion of the grants that are rejected straight off, people aren't eligible for. So Paul goes, oh, this cool grant it's for underprivileged youth, for instance. And he's like, well, some of the people that turn up a train and look a bit underprivileged, so that'll be us. We'll fill out that form. No, you're not a club that's purely serving underprivileged youth, so then you're not eligible. Don't waste your time and don't waste your reputation by applying for something that you're not eligible for. If you're applying to the community fund, for instance, and you're applying every 4 weeks for different grants, and they're kind of going, oh, not these bloody idiots again. They apply for every grant that we put out and they're not eligible. How does that look for your reputation? When it comes down to it, something that you might be eligible for, and they're deciding between you and another organization because they only have so much money, who's going to get it? The one that's professional only applies for the stuff they're really eligible for, or the one who throws their hat in all the time and you're like, oh, these bloody idiots again. So first thing first, make sure you're eligible for the grant that you're applying for. I know it sounds crazy. The second one, which sounds even more insulting, so be ready for this one. Fill out the bloody form properly. I know this sounds bad because I've talked to the people giving out the grants, and again, between these two reasons, somewhere between 40 and 60% of grants are rejected because people aren't eligible or don't fill out the form properly. Now, you might kind of go, well, that's not us. Well, it's some of us. We can't all be the magical ones who aren't getting it wrong. And it sounds so silly, but I can give you a perfect example. In Ireland here, there's a festival that was funded, and the owner, the founder of the festival, told me this herself, so I know it's true. Funded from the Arts Council for years, 10 years or so, she'd been getting Arts Council funding of 50 or 60 grand, big chunk of money. 2 years ago, she filled out the form using the 2020 form for 2021. She just downloaded the wrong form, exact same form, changed the date at the top. Rejected. Out of hand. She filled out the wrong form. She didn't do what they asked for. If you're asking someone to give you money for the sake of filling out a form, fill out the form properly. If they ask you for 3 years of audited accounts, give them 3 years. Don't go, Ash, I can only find 2. That'll do them. I've been on the end. I used to work in a granting body at one stage, and to me, that was brilliant. I loved when I got those within because I didn't have to read them. Just throw it in the bin. Ineligible. Makes my job, I only have 20 now that are actually eligible, and I can give 15 of them a grant. Job's way easier for me. So they're the kind of 2 things. And the final tip is don't chase the money. Never change what you do, create a new program, try and bodge your way into it just because the money's there. Focus on why you exist. So if the grant isn't at that core thing of we exist to provide, I'm repeating myself, but you get what I'm going to say. If that's not what the grant is about, helping you to provide that environment for the young people or whatever you're out to do, then the grant isn't for you, and ignore it. And if you follow those 3 rules, basically you'll spend less time filling out forms that you're not eligible for, and your rate of success will go through the roof. You'll feel more confident and you'll do better, and reputation will get better too. Okay. 1938. Okay, I've got to speed up. Hands up who likes getting direct mail in the post. Yeah, We all love getting begging letters from CR UK. Let's just rag on CR UK for a while. I know some of the people there, they're awesome. But anyway, we all hate getting this crap in the door, yes? Because it's a waste of money. Surely CR UK are all Egypts, and they're sending millions of letters all over the country every week for just for the crack, and they're wasting their money. Clearly not. Okay, so none of us like getting this type of post, getting this kind of mail. But there must be something about it that works, and it does work. Now, I'm going to start off saying, I know you can't afford this now, right? And then I'm going to circle back in a second. So I know you can't afford direct mail, but I want you to think about any letters that you've ever written to local businesses, local councillors, whatever happens to be. And let me describe what you did, okay? And see, I know I'm right because I've done it myself. You wrote a one-page letter, nice and sharp and short, sort of saying, dear business owner, this is our annual Christmas appeal. Would you be willing to give us £100 for our, new jerseys, or whatever happens to be? Thank you very much, your local lovely club. 2 paragraphs, nice and neat, stick in an envelope, off you go. Yep. That's what everybody does, because you want to keep it nice and sharp and short, get to the point. We don't want to waste people's time. Makes perfect sense. It's completely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Open up the next direct mail letter that you get from any organization that comes in your door, whether it's local hospice, CR UK, Macmillan, any of them. It's a 6 to 8 page letter. Now you can't go, oh well, that's just because they're Egypts and they're wasting money. No, because what they're doing is they're actually giving you a chance to spend time with the organization. And the longer that you spend with the organization, the more likely you are to make a donation. So getting the letter open in the first thing is the hard bit. And then you go for it and you throw everything at it. So you don't kind of go, if I get the person to open the letter, I'm only going to give them, 200 words. Can't do anything in 200 words, but in 500 or 600 words or 1,000 words, I can tell you a story. I can tell you the story about the foundation of the club. I can tell you the story about the impact we've had on young people's lives. I can tell you about athletes that we've trained that have gone on to the Commonwealth Games or whatever happens to be. I can tell you the lives that we're changing. So the next time you go to write a letter, think about what is the story that you want to tell to people, and what is the impact that you can share. And the longer the letter, I kid you not, the more people that are likely to respond to you. And the other thing I want to say is that you can't afford to do direct mail. Absolutely not. It's ridiculous. You got to pay postage, you got to pay massive printing costs, all that kind of stuff. Crazy. However, when we get back to what we're talking about, what assets that we have, what resources do we have? Oh, well, we have 300 members. Oh, really? 300 members. So what are the things we could do with those 300 members? Yes, we could have them come out one Saturday of the year, shaking buckets outside every supermarket in the town. Or could we have those 300 members go and do a mail drop into every house in the housing estates and drop 5,000 letters asking for support, sharing the story about our club, the impact we're making, and asking people to make a donation that way. Will it make more money? I don't know. No idea. Is it hard work? Yep. Is it doable? Yep. Is it worth a try? Yeah, because it's a bit different than the other people are. Is your club willing to go further than the other clubs in the town and your competition in the community? And you kind of go, do you know what? And if you think about the scouts back in the day doing the Baba job, remember the Baba job used to be a big thing? That's what they're doing. They're utilizing their army of people that you have in your as members. What can we do with this 200 members, 300 members, or whatever we have? How can we utilize them? So could you do something like that? Yeah. Is it challenging? Sure. I don't even know what number idea I'm on. I think I'm only on 4 at this stage, but anyway, we'll speed up. Quickly, I'm going to talk about telephone fundraising, and the idea why I want to talk about this is because I'm trying to get you to move away from the idea of we do bag packing, we do Strictly Come Dancing, we do these things that everybody else does, and think about what's smart. telephone fundraising is the exact same as direct marketing. We've all had those annoying calls where they're like, we'd like to talk to you about your donation to Greenpeace, whatever, and would you, they're really annoying phone calls, right? But again, what are they getting? What are they doing? It's a call from the organization saying you're really important to them. Would you like to make a donation? How much money do you need as a club? Okay, so say, I don't know, say you need 5 grand. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of backpacking. But what if everybody in the club came in on one evening? Start off with the committee. Let's start off with the committee, and the committee kind of goes, who do we know each? So I've on my screen right in front of me, I've got Stuart, Allen, and Paul. So Stuart, Allen, and Paul, can you think of 10 people who you know personally who'd be willing to give us 50 quid for the club? And you might, maybe 5, maybe 10. You kind of go, well, my wife would have to give it. She'd have to say yes. 6. Well, there you go, 6. And my brother's done bloody well for himself, so he'd have to put his hand in his pocket, or whatever happens to be. So you make a list of all the people that you know who could give you 50 quid, whatever amount you decide to do. And you kind of go, okay, well, then as a committee, the group of us here, we now have a list of 40 people who we think could give us 50 quid. Yeah. And then we all gather up next Tuesday, next Wednesday, whatever it happens to be. And in one group together, we make those phone calls. One by one. Paul goes first. He calls somebody, then Stuart, then Alan. And we all take it in turn. The reason we do it together is because we're bullying each other. Because otherwise we'd all go home and we won't do it. And we go, oh, no, I didn't get around to it. I was busy. We gather together. We take out our phones and we start calling people and saying, hey, Lauren, I know you sold that business there and you did well for yourself. And you always have really nice shoes. Can you give us 50 quid? Like, that's what we do. And they go, oh, geez, okay. And the good thing when you're doing this, kind of go, and look, I won't ask you to buy any raffle tickets either. It's just pure, I'm asking you for money. I'm not going to try and pretend there's anything else in it for you. But very quickly, if you think there's 40 people, you think it was 50 quid, someone can do the maths. Is that a... Sorry, I can't remember. Whatever, 2,400? Anyway, doesn't matter. My brain's gone. But anyway, you see how it adds up quite quickly to be quite a lot of money. And then once the committee's done that, then you start going out to the members and say, lads, ladies, we're going to have a telephone right. 2,000. Thanks, Stuart. Appreciate it. My brain just went too much. So there's 2 grand in an hour. And then you go out to the club and you kind of go, lads, we're going to have a fundraising drive next Saturday morning. Want you all to come along. We're going to start calling all our grannies and all our aunties and our uncles, and we're going to just ask them for cash. Cold, like we're allowed to do it. There's no data protection issue with this. You're calling people you know. It's way easier than organizing a big event. Way easier than all the hassle. It's not nice. We won't like doing it, but it's an hour. And we can then we can have a drink afterwards. Well, the over 18s can. But we can raise serious cash. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to buy new nets, buy equipment, fund the next trip, whatever happens to be. These are things that will work. Okay, I'm just going to skip on. Oh, one of my favorite questions. It's not because I'm Irish. It's just because it's one of the most identifiable rich people in the world. Can we just ask Bono for money? Yeah, can. Do you have Bono's number? So the thing that we always do, and this gets a little bit back to a point I made earlier on that I've now forgotten, is that we kind of go, oh, we should write to Bono, or we should write to X. Sure, that's just distracting. That's unfair. It's a good joke, though. We all kind of go, we all look at the big people, oh, here's someone who's got 50 million, right? We should ask them for money. I remember speaking to someone who was loaded, right? She had about 30 million euro, but she was completely unknown. So someone very wealthy, but not famous in any way, right? And she told me that she was getting about 150 letters a week asking for money. So what the hell chance do you have of getting money? And she was like, I wish people would stop wasting their time writing to me. I can't open all the letters. I give to the causes that I care about, you know, and that's what I do. So she felt really bad she couldn't do more. And there's just letter after letter after letter. So the likes of Bono, for instance, or whoever like the most famous person like locally is, how many letters are they getting? Bazillions. If you have their number, great. If you know their cousin's aunt and they can get you a coffee, even better. But you don't need them. There are loads of people who, when I call this major donors, what I class as a major donor is someone who can make a significant donation to your club. That might be £100, that might be £500, might be £1,000. Like every club is a different scale depending on what the impact. But for most of us, 500 quid's a lot of money, yeah. Like if someone gave you 500 quid, you'd be like, that'd be a day where you'd be texting everyone, kind of going, yes, sorted, happy days. We're like, we've done well. So think about it. We have, 10 people on our committee, 200 members of the club. Do we know personally anyone who has the ability to give £500? Oh, hold on. My sister's stupid husband makes a crazy amount of money. He works for Google. He's good. He can give us 500 quid. Great. Let's set up a call. Let's bring him in. Let's show him what, let's ask him for 500 quid. It's the same process as we talked about earlier on. There are loads more people than we imagine that can actually make the level of donation that actually makes an impact to us. 500 quid might be a lot of money for me, might be a lot of money for you, but for hundreds of people in your community, it isn't even noticeable. So the people who are, they're owning big, successful businesses, they're working in big firms, they're getting bonuses. So it's all about kind of sitting down and kind of go, you're living in the community. Like we're going back over the same stuff again. Why should you care? Well, you're living in the community. You're seeing the work we're doing. You're seeing the impact we're making on these kids' lives, or you're seeing the success that we're having. You've done well for yourself. It's time to give back. And very quickly again, you can add 6, 8, 10 people who are given 500 quid every year to make your club stronger, or whatever the right scale is. I'm going to keep moving because I'm going to run out of time. Okay, so what I suggest you do is don't get hung up on any idea, right? The idea is have a mad brainstorm. Write down some of Kevin's stupid ideas and some stupid ideas of your own, right? Don't get married to any of them. We're not interested in which is the funniest, or the fact that Stuart talks the most, so he's the one who he'll never give out. He won't let us forget it if we don't pick his idea. Whatever happens to be, not interested. Write down every idea that we can, and then we rate them, score them. Simple. Like I have a crazy system. Like I do like innovation, practicality, organization's ability, whatever. You pick criteria that matter, like return on investment of money and time is a big one. That's why I think phoning people is a really good, because the return on investment of time, fucking savage, versus organizing a pub quiz, which is a lot of hassle. But whatever. So return on investment, likelihood of success, whatever the criteria you decide to set. The one that we don't put in is fun, right? I know people always talk about put the fun in fundraising. I don't give a damn about the fun in fundraising. We're here to raise money. Like it's about paying for the club. So yeah, we're all going to have to make some phone calls and we don't like that, but it's once a year. We get the money in, happy days. So let's try and stay focused. So we score them all based on, and say in my the way I do is like innovation, practicality. It depends on the organization working with. Score them out of 5 for each of those categories, and then I pick the top 3 or 4 ideas and I do them. So it's not about that we're all being precious because Margaret, the chairperson, it's her. Like she always wants to have a garden fete. Like well, tough, Margaret. You can have one, but it's not going to be for the club because that's not going to make the big impact that we need. Try and be a bit dispassionate about it. It's an interesting slide. I have no recollection of what the next slide is. Oh, I already covered it. Problem, solution, hero. I already covered it, so that's fine. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, I know where I'm going. As you may have imagined, I talk a lot and I get really distracted. And like most of us, I don't get to the point. So when I would be calling someone to ask for a donation, I'd end up start kind of talking about like, how's it going, Lauren? Sorry to disturb you. Now, if a favor I need to ask. Now, it's okay if you say no. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I know you've given a lot already, so you know, we need someone to organize an event. So I just thought, because you're involved in lots of events and you know lots of people, so maybe you might know someone who might be able to give us an idea, someone who could help us out. Now, if you're too busy, don't worry about it. But just, I thought I'd ask. And Lauren's there going, what? Like, and I've wasted my time, I wasted her time, and I haven't gotten what I wanted out of it, right? And then someone said to me, like, you should have a script. And then I was like, well, everyone hates scripts. Like, they're like, oh, I think I'd rather put a gun to my head than like start, you know, read a script, because this sound ridiculous. So I tried to kind of come up with a structure that would get me what I wanted, but not make me feel like a robot. So I created this arrow, right? And it's not about it being exactly the same, but there's 3 key bits, and I'll cover them in a minute. So it's like, you know, I'm with, you know, Navan Tennis Club. You know, I'm on the committee of Navan Tennis Club. You know, really passionate about tennis, because I think one of the great things about tennis is that it's for all ages, from 4 years of age up to 84. People can get out and they can play together. It's a great communal kind of sport, and it happens all year round. Really makes a difference. I think that, you know, coming out of the pandemic, you know, more people are getting active. So it's been great that we've been there, and we've great opportunities to grow and, you know, introduce more people to sport, so more people are staying active and healthy. I know that as a local business, that you want to be seen to be supporting the local community and community clubs just like ours. So would you make a donation and sponsor our club for £500 this year? Okay. There's 3 keys to this arrow. The rest is all just faff, really. 3 keys, I. Right? As I said, no one gives a damn about your club. But I care about, you know, I care about whatever football club, I care about the swimming club, because I've seen the impact it has on the young people. It's been an important part in my life. I've been a member for 35 years, and I've met all my friends there. They're like my family. It's personal. Okay, so it's me. Don't care about the club. And then it's you, as a local business owner, as a family, as a councillor, as we're talking about you. I'm not talking about, you know, I think Tesco should support us. Tesco is a thing. It's a piece of paper in like the company's registration office. It's a nothing. I think you know, as a manager of the local bank, I know that you'd like to see that, you know, clubs like ours are strong, whatever happens to be. Okay, so me, then you, and then the final thing is I asked for something and I shut up. I didn't say, Lauren, if you could give us a donation of €500, when if you don't have €500, 200 quid will be fine, or whatever you can do yourself. And now she's left going, I don't know what you want me to do. I asked for something specific. Would you sponsor our club for £500 for the next year? Jesus, right, 500, you mad? Well, what would you feel comfortable at? Let the person come back and let them answer. Don't make a decision for somebody by going, that might sound like too much. So you ask for something specific, then zip it. Wait for them to respond, and then continue from there. Okay, that's number 7. I really need to go on. I'm over time, and I'm sorry, but I'll keep going until I'm finished. Is that okay, Lauren?
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, cool. Okay, we're on 8 of 10, so we're not doing too bad. So donor care. So the biggest truism in fundraising that we all forget is that it's way easier to get the second donation than the first donation. Like, you know, for me to get 50 quid off Sylvia the first time is way harder than it is to get the second one if she feels that I've spent it well. Okay, so it's all about the experience that I have as a sponsor, as a donor to your club. So before we get the donation, I have to think about, What are you asking me to do? Oh, I'm asking you to sponsor the club 500 quid for the year. Okay. Why are you asking me to do this? Well, I'm asking you because of all the reasons we've outlined, because we have to buy new equipment or whatever. So you have to have a sense of what this money is for. Okay, I understand that. And you've already explained to me the impact you're making on the community. How do you want me to do it? So you have to kind of go, well, when we asked Lauren for 500 quid and she goes, okay, what do we want her to do then? Are we going to invoice her? Are we going to take her credit card details over the phone? What's the process like? Whereas she goes, yeah, grand, how do I get it to you? And you're like, uh, I'll talk to the treasurer, I'll get back to you. How's that experience for her? Does that feel like a good experience, or does that feel like you guys haven't a clue what you're talking about? Whereas you kind of go, actually, do you know what? I can take your credit card over the phone, or if you want, I can text your bank details and you can Revolut them to us, or whatever happens to be. So are you organized? And then what will you do next? And once you get that, we'll confirm with you, we'll send you a receipt, whatever happens to be. So you have to think through how you're going to do something before you actually ask for the money, so that there's no kind of pause. Remember, CR UK are good at this, and you're competing with them. So if I send 50 quid to CR UK, I'll expect to thank you in acknowledgement probably within 48 hours. And it's going to be a lovely letter showing how my money is making a big impact. Okay. So you have to compete with them. So before you ask money, you have to think through the whole process of how it's all going to work. Then this is like hygiene issues 101. If you've asked me to write a check, send money, 500 quid, whatever happens to be, I can't wait for 3 weeks to get my receipt. Or I'm like, that Paul fella's a scammer because he's just nicked it. That's what goes through my head. Now I mightn't be sure. I might be like, God, did I do the right thing? And once I start having those negative thoughts, eventually I get the receipt 2 weeks later or whatever. I'm like, oh, thank God. But it's not a good feeling. If I get my thank you letter, or my acknowledgement, whatever we decide to do, 24 hours later, I go, wow, those guys are on it. What an amazing club. They're so organized. They must be really good at everything they do. So the interaction I've had with them has been so professional that I understand. Same way as if you get a grant from the council and it hits your account, a quick email to whoever you've been dealing with the council saying, cheers, thanks a million for that. We had that hit our account. We're gonna get cracking on spending that. Awesome. Let us know if you need anything else. Oh wow, they're on it, rather than chasing up, Jesus, we give that to the right people, all that kind of stuff. All hygiene issues. We acknowledge all donations. We make people feel special. So when something good happens, like so the under nines win some stupid trophy, or you pretend that they've won a trophy or whatever it happens to be, and you get a picture of the team, you email it to everyone who made a contribution over the year and say, look at the under nines, awesome, that's because of you guys, thanks a million. Without our team behind us, without our community backing us, it wouldn't happen. It's not all about just kind of going, aren't they great? It's like thanking the people who made it happen, so making people, and then you go, that's great, because I remember they wrote to us and they said that they look at, like, they have all the kids playing football, it's great, brilliant. And look at them, they're doing well, they must be doing a good job, they're trustworthy, they're reliable, they do what they say. When they come back to me and ask me for money next time, of course I'm going to give it to them, because they're showing me how things are working. I think that's everything. What's number 10? Oh yeah. And then this is kind of thinking about, if you're looking at the big stuff, you're looking to build a clubhouse, you're looking at new pitches, you're looking for new facilities, whatever. Like, follow up. Here's a picture of the foundations. Hey, aren't you well done? Here's the architectural drawings. Look at that. Keep the people who are supporting you on the journey. We did that person that we were raising money for to get to the Olympics, whatever. How did they get on? Oh yeah, no, they're on a training camp. Here's some pictures, whatever. So it's all about that, because if you kind of if you serve that to them, then they're open for the next thing. So when you want to do another trip, when you want to build something else, when you want new equipment, they're like, oh yeah, they've been letting me know, and they did that. That was brilliant. I love those pictures. I want that feeling again. I feel good about you doing about that. So then I'm likely to do it again. So they're your 10 fundraising tips. I know it was fast. I know it was a lot. Sorry, just bear with me 1 second because I just have a text message to make sure everything's okay. That's fine. So thanks a million for spending the hour with me. If you want any further conversations, that's my email address, kevin@academystreetworkshop.com. Fire me an email and we can have a chat. But yeah, thanks a million.